All right, my good people. So I want to do this follow up to last night's AEW Dynamite. Another solid show. Like I said, AEW's they've been hitting it out of the park. And one thing that I will say to anybody who is, a fan of something, I don't like to really use the term supportive in the sense of I'm not watching AEW saying, man, I hope everybody gets rich. I don't care about somebody else's money more than I care about mine. Okay. But there's no malice about it. It's just, like I'm watching because I enjoy the product. Things that we watch, look, there's other companies that don't hit it out the park all the time either. That is companies that suck right now. I'm not gonna have to force myself to watch something, but it's never that the case. But if I'm watching something and it just turns out it wasn't that good, this is my point. This is where it gets to the point. I focus more on what I like versus what I don't like. Okay, but man, it's I think it's childish to see something and go, oh, it's not what it used to be. It's not to say to the point where you're angry. You're just so like I got it. I'm stressing every time I watch this, and no. We just tell the truth. And also, like I said, I am the X factor because I listen to all this nonsense go on, all this hatred, and people want to act like they don't know what's good. But if you don't, that's your problem. Let's get into it. What I talked about, and let me say before I start this video, because I talked about Mercedes Monet versus Tony Storm and their segment and how they. What I love about AEW too, man, is they will go with stories, something that transpired amongst each other within AEW, you know, and they'll pick it up where there's some things that you forgot about, and then you go, damn, you know what? That's cool how they connected that. And okay, I talked about Hangman Adam Page, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland, but now I will say this: Hangman did something that I thought was absolutely stupid. I don't understand why he did it. It like, what's the significance of it? Uh, and that was he handed his Owen Hart tournament title back to Tony Schiavone, saying, I can't defend it, I can't lose it. He says, uh, and next year there'll be another champion crown and stuff like that. That's if you're not in it and you don't win it. But what I was told was that well, we get the impression, put it that way, that when you win, and I know that's the case because they did an interview with Willow and her. This was like the following year after she didn't even win the tournament, and I remember her title, her Owen Hart titles and trophy was in her house. So it's not like you win it and then you just give it back. It's like when you win the King of the Ring, you don't give the crown and the cake back, like you know what I mean, the roll back or whatever. You won that. That's yours. Okay, so my thing was, it's your accomplishment, man. It's a prestigious accomplishment. It's one of the biggest tournaments and events that they have in AEW. Yet you give it back. Is that going to take your focus away from the World Championship? Like, I didn't understand that. Like that to me was like completely dumb. Like, why would you do that? They're like, why would you give it back? You understand what I'm saying? It's almost like saying, hey, you won Employee of the Month. Next month is going to be somebody else, so I'm going to only enjoy this momentarily, and now I'm going to give it back. Like that was completely stupid to me. Like I don't even understand why he did that. This is a part of your accomplishments, man. And when they run down what you've done, that's part of it. That just made no sense to me. Okay, but the segment itself was cool, with the exception that part was just stupid. That part was dumb as hell. Okay. I'm not saying this in order because I don't remember the exact order, and I'm not reading anything. Um, I know Samoa Joe, the Ops, they had a match against these guys, the Frat House or whatever. So this was a match where these guys come out They disrespect the people of the city they were in, and they basically make themselves they make themselves not liked. Make you want to see the ops squash them even more, and pretty much the ops dominated. They won the match, and it was a good session, and the ops shine again. This was a trios match, and one of the things that wrestling is missing too is when they have squash matches, right? When they have these matches with people that you don't really know. These people, a lot of times, AEW love to do this. They'll take people from a particular town, a different state, wherever, somewhere, and that person will be in the match and, get a chance to shine. Whether they lose or not, even if it's, or put it like this, they get the opportunity to wrestle in front of an AEW audience, put it that way. And there's several people that have done that, and then they come back later and you go, wait, that was such and such, okay. Oh, I remember that person now. But the ops, they did what they were supposed to do. And you have to do this where I feel like at times, because you don't want to take your top talent and they're just losing matches. Because when you're not ready for a certain person to lose their title, lose his or her title or their titles, and they're just squashing people, you gotta, this is where sometimes outside interference and things of that nature happens, and it's for the right reason. Which leads me to Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. Basically, I'm looking at both of them, and it's like, and I promise you, on my dead mama, I'm sitting there going, this needs to be a disqualification or something like that. At the least, a time limit draw. But I said, now this needs to be like a DQ or something. And that's what happened. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly, his guys come down, then the rest, Paragon comes out, the rest of them come out. That's a disqualification. And I'm like, yeah, because when you start getting pinned clean to the mat, and you've already been pushed to be one of the top guys, even as I'm in the top, but I still got work to do. But people don't want to keep seeing you lose, man. I mean, like I said, especially once you've beaten top guys and you've got that rub. I think that was the right call that match ended in a DQ. And the fact that match led into Brody King versus Josh Alexander. Like, he was the one that, I think he's the first one that came out and got involved. Now, Brody King, he needed this win, and he got the win. They had a back and forth. I don't remember what move it was, what happened, but Josh was leaking all over, man, from his, I think from his forehead. And they had a solid match back and forth. And also, every time you get somebody new to your company, doesn't mean because they come in automatically, bow, top spot automatically. Like, no, you got to work. That's the thing that I love, and this is where I said, when you have people come in, and there's this huge anticipation that, okay, I got to put this person. Usually, when it's a former WWE wrestler, that's what most companies would do. And, that's not where Josh is from. Of course, he got more his recognition in TNA. I was watching him wrestle over in Canada as well before he came to TNA. But, this is where you have to look at your talent, man, and look at who's doing what and understand why it's necessary for certain matches to end in DQ or time limit draw, or something to that effect or whatever. Because, it gets to that point where once you start losing on TV, they see this. See, people could lose in dark matches, and people would see it that was there. But when it's televised, you got way more eyes on it now because the dark matches aren't really on TV. It's one of those things where now it's like, this person is not this or that, whatever. Brody King was clearly the favorite to win. They wanted him to win. Josh is the bad guy. He's gotten his, he's won, he's lost, he's won, he's lost. So it's not like he's in there just getting defeated by everybody. He's a solid fit into the Don Callis family. Brody King got the win. Now, the tag match, the rematch between Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford versus Harley Cameron and Anna Jay. This was a street fight, and you see this is exactly what us that like Jade Cargill want to see her do. This is what I'm talking about. Did you see Megan Bain got hit with the chair? She got hit with the stick. She got hit with the, back and forth. She kept, like she was impervious to it, and she wound up, getting her licks, and then I think they sent her to the rope or whatever it was, and she came back with the double clothesline on the two. We don't ever see Jade Cargill do that shit, man. Jordan Grace will do it momentarily in the match and still end up losing anyway. But bottom line, this is what I'm saying. Powerhouse Hobbs is another one that you hit him with a chair sometimes and he'll just turn around. Same thing. What did the crowd start chanting when Anna Jay and Harley Cameron hit her with that chair and with that pipe? They start chanting, "You fucked up." Okay. By the way, if you didn't know, WWE is wanting to try to, tell their audience to block them from, swearing and stuff on camera because it hurts the product. That's what basically they're saying. So there's been people that have been thrown out of the building for cursing and swearing. Now, my thing is, if it's about children, then the product itself needs to tone down. For example, I don't understand how Triple H can unite with DX or whatever. And if you're not down with that, he just got 2 words for you. Let's get ready to suck it. Suck what? That's appropriate to say in front of kids? So now you've paid your money to go to a show and they're telling you not to swear, not to curse or do whatever. Okay, well, just saying, y'all. That's what WWE is putting out there. Fuck off. And do something with your miserable lives. But anyway, so what happens in that match? They got some payback. They've ended up with the Doomsday device to end that match. But oh man, Megan Bain, she gave Harley Cameron like one of those wheelbarrow slams onto the steel steps, and I think that did it, man. Her nose, either she had a gash. I couldn't tell if it was a gash around her nose or like her lip, or it was because the blood was like in her nostrils. So she was definitely leaking all over the place, and I heard the referee like, "Hey, get a doctor over here," whatever. And the person came over there to check on Cameron. She finished the match, but yeah, that was pretty nasty, man. But they got the win. And one thing I want to also say before I move on with that is listen, guys. One thing about Toni Storm, she will bleed, she will go through pain, she will get slammed on glass, thumbtacks, whatever. Like Toni Storm doesn't give a fuck, man. It really makes me wonder what type of match her and Mercedes Moné are gonna have. And one of the things that she said was, when they do clash, some little girl's gonna watch and say those bitches are crazy. So I don't know. I'm just looking forward to see it. See, I watched grown-up content last night. I watched grown men and women look and sound like grown men and women. Not a bunch of little kids all hyper and you screwed me out of my match and like that little pouty panting, and it's a whole different feel, man. And I hope AEW keep doing what they're doing and realize those little, and I feel like they know those little details make a huge difference, man. That little, I honestly, I remember watching Rhea Ripley, man, when she was trying to get in that 3-way match. And Adam Pearce said, "My God, it's like dealing with a freaking child." And I'm like, exactly. This is my point. These are grown people pampering around and doing all the same things that little kids do. And this is what I want to see change. This is what I feel like needs to change to get the attention of the people, man. 13-year-olds are not the ones purchasing tickets to go to your show. They're being brought to the shows. And I really don't understand, for people that, if you look at the drop off of the WWE audience and you don't understand, it's a lot of people. When you lose 2 million people from night one on Netflix, and you lose 2 million freaking people of viewership, and then it just keeps decreasing, going down and down, and then you've been able to maintain that 2.8, then it dropped to a 2.7. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going, "What is this childish stuff I'm watching?" And I take it that a lot of those people that had that 5.9 were watching it for the first time. And it wasn't for them. And the rest of the people, the same thing. So it's tough on professional wrestling because this is a weekly thing where you have to come up with material every week. But yeah, watching this was just like it was refreshing, and I said, I love what I'm seeing tonight. I don't know if I'm missing anything. Oh yeah, they had a mixed trios match, another banger. Now this guy Gabe Kidd was involved in this match, and one of the things that I love that they're doing, man, you might have a female might get a suplex or some type of like belly to back suplex or some type of move off and get a rise up the crowd, but you're not seeing women and men in there going tooth and nail. Like it that really just devalues the product when I see that, man, because it's not about being chauvinistic, man, but there's no fucking way that a 175-pound male can go in there and struggle against a big 285-pound guy, even though in this age of wrestling, they'll get the win. But you're going to tell me a little 120-pound woman can go in there and hold her own against these guys? Like, stop it, man. That's why I said when people used to say, the reason Sonny Kiss, he can't beat everybody because he's not really big enough. You know how big Sonny Kiss is to every one of these females? And the only female that's even close to Sonny's size, nobody. Really, just Nyla Rose. Who, you know what I'm saying? Like, who? There's nobody else that was Sonny's size as a female. Sonny's at least a good 185, 190, at least. The biggest women that you see in wrestling, 150 maybe 160, maybe. But, bottom line, I like the way they put the matches together. It was a solid back and forth match. It was Briscoe, Willow Nightingale, and Speedball Mike Bailey versus Marina Shafir, Moxley, and Gabe Kidd. And of course, this beef between I want to see Willow and Marina Shafir go one-on-one, whether that's maybe an all-in. That's pretty much what I see happening, developing from this feud still is those two, because they just can't get along. And, back and forth with the wins and losses, with the, she's helping out. See, this is what people don't understand. There's different people within AEW that's trying to help out to even out the odds against the Death Riders. So this is why you see Mark Briscoe come out and help out. They got the win at the pay-per-view. And last night, Mark Briscoe pretty much got choked out. And this is more anticipation where, like I said, you see Swerve and at some point, him and Hangman have to get on the same page. Because, like I said, I don't see that match being a clean one-on-one. I see some cheating going on there. And pretty much, I feel like Hangman is going to do it. But it's not going to be without controversy, man. There's going to be some interference. So he's going to need someone to help even the odds out. And we don't know when Pac is coming back. And another interesting thing is, I told you guys before, I said it's a possibility that when Hook comes back, he doesn't just walk back into the ops. Because remember, he came out and helped them at the pay-per-view, but he just walked away. He shook his head and walked away when Joe was inviting him into the ring. So Hook might feel some type of way because he's been replaced by Powerhouse Hobbs. But hey, man, what happened, and they needed a third member, man. So Powerhouse Hobbs stepped in. But we don't know where Hook is going to stand, what's going to come out of this. So I'm interested to see where that's going to lead to. But another solid Dynamite. And listen, guys, when, like for me, as a grown adult, I don't watch something, like I said, with anticipation that it's going to be trash or it's going to be this or that. I'm just looking forward to seeing it, and then what happens. And when you find yourself in a position, this is or anything in life, okay, where you're not enjoying something, focus on what you do enjoy and understand that this is not the end of the world. It's just programming that we get. Either we like it or we don't, but it's not the end of the world. Just understand that, man. This is entertainment. These are things that we, used to be able to get into and should be able to still get into, but for things that just sometimes you outgrow certain things. A certain product just is not for you. But when you start to wish a company go out of business, you start to look at a whole bunch of negative things. And right now, the WWE has so much mess swirling around it with the allegations of Vince McMahon. He's pissed off about what's happening in WWE. He wants to buy WWE back. All this other stuff, him and his family not getting along. Like this is a big mess where nobody needs that, man. We're talking about the program, the product, but all these different people that have something to say. It's funny how people are so supportive of something, but they're the very ones trying to tear it down. We're not talking about being honest about the in-ring product. We're talking about everything else surrounding it. I don't get in personal stuff like that, man. Whatever's going on in these people's personal lives, that's not wrestling news. That's news about a wrestler. So anyway, I enjoyed Dynamite last night, and I'm looking forward to Collision. Saturday. That 4-hour special that's coming up next week. Oh, believe I'll be there watching. And that's AEW Dynamite I'm talking about. And once again, I don't want to know about spoilers. I'm not watching anything. There's already people speculating what's going to happen, who's going to show up, and what happens when you hear all that, especially from the big channels like WrestleMania and all of that, Wrestle Talk. When they make these predictions and it don't happen, then people go, oh man, the show sucked because such and such, I thought such and such was going to come out. Where did you get that from? A wrestling channel. It is what it is. But it was a solid show, and we see what they got Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch Impact tonight. I don't know. And really, it's not like I'm enthused about it, but I'll see what happens. And it is what it is. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys right now. What y'all thought about Dynamite? I'll catch you guys on the next video.